We are going to look at linear functions, and then we're going to look at graphs of linear functions. So in this first problem, they're giving me some properties of a line. They are showing it in function notation, so they're telling me that f of -4 is equal to -8. So keep in mind with function notation that that is always your x value. So if I look at an actual point, my x is -4, and then this is always your y value, because remember f of x means the same as your y. So this would actually be just a fancy way of saying that that is a point on the line. Now they're telling me the slope of this line is -3/4, and we use the lowercase letter m to represent slope. And when we think of an equation of a line, we think of y equals mx plus b. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this information that they've given me here, we're going to plug it into this equation so we can find our b, and then we'll write our equation of a line. So let me come down here where I've got room. So I'm going to plug into y equals mx plus b. My y value of my point was -8. They told me my m value, which is my slope, was -3/4. I'm multiplying it by an x of -4. And I'm going to put that over 1 just to help me multiply fractions in just a minute. And then I'm going to add my b. So I have -8 is equal to, now when I multiply these fractions, I'm going to go straight across, top times top. And so -3 times -4 would be 12. And then bottom times bottom. So 4 times 1 would be 4. And then if I can simplify, do so, I know that 12 divided by 4 would leave me with 3. And then if I'm getting b by itself, I'll subtract 3 on both sides. And I'm left with a b value that is equal to -11. So for my final equation, if I were to write it in terms of y equal, I would say y equals -3/4, because that's my m, times x, and then plus your b, but instead of saying plus -11, we can just say simply -11. Now you'll notice up here, instead of saying y equal, they put it in function notation. So f of x is like your y. So in the box, you would be putting the -3/4x minus 11. Okay. Now, on this second one, they've given me a function. They don't tell me it's linear. I'm going to have to do some simplifying, and then I'll know it's linear. And then, of course, when they say find the slope and y-intercept, they kind of give it away. But what I'm going to do first is go ahead and distribute the negative sign. So I've got the 5x, and then I'm going to split those terms apart as I do. So I'll get a minus 4/5, and then I'll also get a minus 7x/5. Now I want to combine like terms, and so I have two terms that have x's, and since I'm dealing with fractions, I will need a common denominator. So in this case, when I go in and look at those two terms, I have a 1 and I have a 5, so I'm going to need a common denominator of 5, which means I multiply by 5 on bottom and 5 on top. So that becomes 25x/5. I'm going to go ahead and pull the minus 7x/5 next to it, and then I still have the minus 4/5. So now as I combine those like terms, 25x minus 7x will leave me with 18x/5, and then I have minus the 4/5. And you can write it like that, or some people prefer just to pull the fraction out in front, 18/5 times x minus 4/5. Ultimately, what we're thinking of is y equals mx plus b, because that allows us to identify our slope and our y-intercept, which is what they're asking for here. So you'll notice that in this case, my m, which is what we call our slope, that is going to be 18/5. Oops, let me get a pen. 18/5. And then if you look at for the b value, be careful with the sign. That negative is going to have to go with it. My b value is -4/5. Now they're actually asking me to or they're wanting me to write it as an ordered pair, so pay attention to those instructions. And so since it's a y-intercept, the x value is 0, and then the negative 4/5 is your y value. Okay, so the second part asks me to find 2 points that are on the line in order to graph the function. And so they're wanting you to do points other than your y-intercept. So if we go ahead and bring our equation down here, you can plug in whatever x's you want. Now, I like to do things that make it, say, a little bit easier to do. So for example, if I let x equal 1, I'm going to have 18/5 times 1 minus 4/5. So that'll simply become 18/5 minus 4/5. So it just makes it easier to compute. In that case, I get 18 minus 4 would leave me with 14/5. Now, they don't want you to change it to a decimal, but it does help in order to graph it. So if I divide that, let's see, 5 goes into 14 twice and leaves me with a remainder of 4. So 2 4/5. So when x is 1, my y is approximately 2 4/5. Now, they're going to want you to write it like this. They don't want you to change it to that mixed fraction, or 2.8 if you changed it to a decimal. They want you to write it like that. Okay, so then I'll do a second point. So again, that's really your choice. You can go with +2, or if you want to go to the negative side, you could do -1. It's really up to you, whatever you want to do. I'll go ahead and go with a -1 this time, just to show points on the other side. So in that case, I get a -18/5 minus my 4/5. And when I combine those together, I get -22/5. And so again, for purposes of writing the ordered pair, they're going to want you to leave it as -22/5. For purposes of graphing it, if you want to change it to a mixed number, 5 goes into 22. Of course, you've got the negative there. It goes in 4 times with a remainder of 2/5. Or if you want to look at the decimal, then you can certainly punch that out, and that's going to be a -4. When I go to plot this, when x is -1, my y value is down here at -4 2/5. And so then we connect them. Oop, I didn't do too good a job there. Put arrows on both ends, and we are done.